Hi, my name is John Gossier. I'm the founder of a company called MetaLayer, as well as a number of other projects, Africa, Hive Collab, a few other things. Today I'm in Times Square, hotel in Times Square. I won't say which one, but I am here to speak at a conference called Ideas Are Worthless, and I think it's a great initiative. It's put on by blackfounders.com, and it's all about going beyond just having your idea for an app and actually building what you'd like to see, doing something about it, making it happen. One of the things that I think that happens particularly when it comes to minority entrepreneurs, is because there's so few of us who are programmers and engineers, there's this mental block about getting something going. We get the impression that if we can't also be the developer, or if we don't have someone on our team who is, then we're somehow at a disadvantage. And that's actually not true. So there's a number of ways that you can go about building your app if you don't have the skills to do it yourself. So one, you can outsource it. Now, a lot of people will tell you a lot of different things about outsourcing. They'll tell you that they've been burned. They'll tell you about horror stories where guys in India run off with their code, or guys in Latin America take the money and run. Or things not being up to par if you were to outsource to Africa. So I think all three regions have both positive and negative examples. So here's ultimately the point. If you're going to outsource, get to know the individual that you're going to work with. Outsourcing through things like Elance and some of the other websites that exist is great. But it's even better if you can actually trust that individual, if you know them, if you can vouch for them, and even maybe eventually recommend them to other people. If you don't trust your own ability to vet that person and vet what they offer you, the other thing you can do is find a firm that sort of manages that vetting process for you. So my own company, the first company I started, Africa, does just that. We're not so much focused on just outsourcing to anyone. We have a couple of individuals who we trust and who I've worked with for years and years. So there's no question in my mind about their talent, tenacity, and their ability to get things done. And we sort of serve as the proxy. You come to us, we recommend you software developers. So other organizations like Africa, for different regions and for different types of worker, are certainly something that you can consider. The second thing is, it's not always about, so if you've read the book The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, it talks about what's called the creating a concierge. And what the concierge is building sort of like, in our community we'd say fake it till you make it, right? So you build the veneer of an app. You tell the world what you're trying to do. You put out press releases that say, oh yeah, we're doing this, we've already got it done, we're taking customers, we're in private beta. What you do in that time is actually you're trying to figure out how to build your app. But what you do instead for that website, what people are actually using, is you create a process that's fairly manual that gets the job done. So for example, if you wanted to start a service like Airbnb, where the whole idea is to have people renting properties from other people, and you don't have the app built yet, you don't have a way for this to happen in an automated fashion, facilitate that process manually. And just what you're trying to do isn't fool people. You're not trying to trick people. What you're actually trying to do is figure out what are the most important, what's the core value prop that you need to build first before you get into any lines of code. In fact, it's even better, in the case that the book makes, is that it's better to do things this way because you don't waste your time building things that people aren't going to use. You're building the things that you know people want, and you know that they want to pay for, and you can actually vet and test how much they're willing to pay before you ever write a line of code. And so the concierge, the whole fake it till you make it idea and concept is something that can be very powerful for an entrepreneur. Okay, and so the third thing I would say is if you can't outsource it, if you can't fake it, the other thing is to look for it's not always easy to look for technical co-founders, but if you can pull together meager resources, it's much easier to make the case to someone to help you if you can pay them something. You may not be able to pay them what they're worth entirely. You may not be able to pay the guy at Silicon Valley, $100,000 to work with you for a year, but you can probably come up with, a couple thousand or a few hundred, whatever your app does. It sort of depends. You can come up with some meager resources to convince that person to help you build what's called the MVP, the minimum viable product. Just get that very basic thing done so that you can then go out and talk about it. And if you do that after you've done the concierge idea, you can actually go very far and get something that's growing and sustainable, and that hopefully will get you to the point where you can raise capital or find other additional support. And then finally, the last thing I would suggest, so 4 ideas for getting your app done. The first 3 were outsourcing, the concierge, MVP. And so the 4th thing is go to hackathons like Startup Weekend. And there, if you have a good idea and you can rally some support, you'll have some great developers dedicated to your project for 24 hours to work on the idea that you have. If you can't find the support that you want in that particular environment, then start hosting your own events. This is not something that's hard to do. It's not like Startup Weekend and other things like it have some sort of lock on being able to put together a conference and a competition. In some ways, it's even smarter to do your own, because that can become branding for the product that you subsequently build. So, your apps, Startup Weekend, if you can find sponsors and so on, if you're able to profit off that, it might even be a way to support the development of the MVP. So these are just some tips that I've picked up over the years of getting things done. When I started, I wasn't the best programmer. I'm still not the best programmer, but I've done a lot of software projects, and I almost always use one of these techniques to get them done. So I'm not just blowing smoke out my ears. Hopefully you find these tips useful, and hopefully you can get some great things done. Thanks, and looking forward to hearing from you.